From the heart of the Space City to the heart of Gen Z, welcome to Next Gen Conversation. Not Dad's Talk Radio. Ethan talks to you about the issues and events that matter to our generation. This is the Next Gen Report with Ethan Buchanan.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, good Sunday evening to you. Here's my first broadcast from this new studio. I'm very excited about it. Very excited. If you tuned into the Wednesday live stream on X, you already saw it. It looks fantastic. Not to pat myself on the back, but I am very, very happy with the way all of this new equipment that I bought turned out and the way it just looks visually on camera. So, all that to say, go check me out on X at _Ethan Buchanan, BUCHANAN. You can watch past videos, past live streams. We do a Wednesday, really, it's a Tuesday evening live stream now that we just then republish on Wednesday morning. The Wednesday morning podcast is now the Tuesday evening live stream on X at _Ethan Buchanan, BUCHANAN. So check that out when you get the chance. We've got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on here in Houston with ICE. We're going to get into that a little bit later on in the show. We've got some birthright citizenship stuff that I think is very interesting. We're going to talk about that as well. Before we get into any of that, I want to talk a little bit about some goings-on that we have had here in the state of Texas politically. Obviously, the election season is still underway. The primaries are completely over now. We're now having candidates do kind of their postmortems on their own primary races. We're getting ready to head into November. So we've got some news there. Let's start with Jasmine Crockett. She, as you might have been able to predict just based off of her personality, is not taking her loss well. And to be fair, I'll give Jasmine Crockett some leeway here. I didn't think she was going to lose either. I was just as shocked as Jasmine Crockett by the fact that she lost. But she is not happy about losing to James Tallarico. And she is blaming not her own campaigning, not her own strategy, not her own angles. She is blaming ye old racisms. Check this out.
So for me, I am going to be working everywhere. The best thing that I can do for James Tallarico isn't me standing on a stage with him. It is the fact that I endorsed 5 candidates in the runoff who all happen to be black men in the state of Texas, and every single one of them won, and they're going on to November, meaning that they will pull out more black people to vote. People keep trying to say, well, Jasmine has to go and hold his hand. No, I don't. And don't worry about my math and how it works in my mind. Because the reality is that if you can give people more than one thing to vote for, then you have a better chance of getting them out to the polls. And honestly, some people just not going to be sold on certain people that are running in the state of Texas. So the best thing that I can do is take down ballot candidates who no one's ever heard of and do my best to uplift them and increase the voter participation in a way that we did in Texas. You see, a lot of haters got a lot of things to say about me and my race and how I ran it, but the reality is that there was a lot of racist, not a lot, it was racist. It was a racist race. It is what it is, right? But we live in America, as y'all are celebrating 250, okay? We know what this country is. But
there it is. It was a racist race. Again, this was a Democrat primary. The only people voting, presumably, are the Democrats. This was James Tallarico versus Jasmine Crockett. And she's saying the only reason she lost was racism. It was a racist race. And that's why. That's so unbelievably ridiculous. And sending that message out, I don't even know if she knows what she's saying. She's sitting here trying to explain how she's going to help the Democrat Party and help James Tallarico win, not by going out and campaigning with him, but campaigning down ballot for black Democrat candidates. That's fine, whatever. In the same breath that she says, this is how I'm going to help James Tallarico, she almost inadvertently, I think, I honestly don't know if she's smart enough to realize she did this, accused James Tallarico of being racist against her. So that's not really going to turn out black votes. So what is she doing? Hey, y'all need to go out and vote for all these down ballot black candidates. And also, I guess while you're there, go vote for James Tallarico, who's a racist. That's your pitch? That's your November pitch, Jasmine Crockett? You got to be kidding me. Honestly, I don't know if she knows what she's doing. I have to assume she doesn't. I would hate to believe that she's actually that dumb, because on paper she should be smart. She went to good schools. She has a great education. She was in the House of Representatives. She should be smarter than that, but I guess not. All right, the only thing else that I wanted to point out, kind of Texas politics, Texas election-wise, real quick, was Don Huffines has been appointed to be the comptroller. Kelly Hancock, the acting controller, resigned. Don Huffines is the presumable controller anyway. He won the GOP nomination against Kelly Hancock by a lot. He's probably going to go on to win in November. If he doesn't, I would be shocked. Again, a Democrat has not won statewide election in the state in 30 years. I really don't think Don Huffines is going to be the guy to ruin that track record. And this is pretty normal to do. Very often when an office is vacated, the presumable winner of that office in the next election will just be appointed to that office. This happens in Harris County all the time. Just recently, Abby Kamen was presumed to be the winner of the county attorney's office, and she was just appointed to fill that position when Christian Menifee left. So this is normal. It happens all the time. Don Huffines' November opponent, Senator Sarah Eckhart, is very upset about this for some reason. She put this tweet out. Greg Abbott has named MAGA millionaire Don Huffines as acting controller. This is the corruption that comes with one-party rule, plain and simple. Okay, so if Abbott doing this is corruption, then was it corruption when your party did it in Harris County with Abby Kamen? I mean, this isn't corruption. This is quite literally just day-to-day life in politics, in government. This happens literally all of the time. What do you want him to appoint a Democrat? He's not going to do that. Don Huffines won the race. He's probably going to win the race again in November. There's no reason for him not to be appointed to fill that spot. You're just mad because you need something to be mad about. This pitch isn't going to work. The Democrats just don't have a pitch in November. At the federal level or at the state level, they just have nothing. They're just trying to find stuff to be upset about. And if you're Jasmine Crockett, you're upset about the racism because you lost your race and you didn't think you should have. And if you're Sarah Eckhart running for comptroller, it's because a thing that happens all the time happened again. That's not going to work. All right, we got a lot more. We'll be right back with more of the Next Gen Report in just a minute. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Next Gen Report. All right, before we go any further, I want to ask you real quick to check out my sponsor, Deus Vault Lapel Pins. This really is one of my favorite companies. I am so excited to put in another order from these guys. I put in probably every other month. I'll go and I'll buy 6 or 7 new pins because they keep releasing new products and they're all fantastic. And one of the absolute greatest things about this company is he collaborates with other people. There's other creators, other designers, other products that he'll bring in, and they'll kind of work together to create collaborative pin designs, cool new products like this Chiro Bolo tie. Really fantastic stuff. He'll even pull in links from other shops and he'll bring those in so it kind of centralizes stuff. DeusVaultLapelPins.com. Just check the website out. That's all I ask. Check out DeusVult lapelpins.com. If you see 1, 2, or 3 or 6 things that you like, use promo code NEXTPIN2026. You will get 10% off your order, and I promise you, you will be happy with it. Getting those little packages is my favorite thing to happen every time it happens. You're going to love them just as much as I am. I guarantee it. All right, now let's talk a little bit about this situation that we've seen crop up in Fort Worth. So I am not like 100% dialed in as to every little nitty-gritty detail of what happened here. But as far as I can tell, what happened was there was some pride event on public property in Fort Worth, and some street preachers went out to go street preach at this Pride event. This is fairly common. At most Pride events, you'll find some local church or a local pastor that'll get together a little group and go try to minister and preach the gospel to some people at this Pride event. That's a great thing. That's a beautiful thing. We need more of that. Absolutely. Bring some of these people out of degeneracy and to Christ. Amazing. The reason this one stands out is because the Fort Worth Police Department, as far as I can tell, grossly violated the rights of these street preachers. And you do have a First Amendment right to street preach at Pride events that are on public property. And they were just going at it, trying to shut them down. Libs of TikTok posted the video and it went crazy viral. Check this out. This is the street preacher interacting with this, I don't know who this officer is, but she's with the Fort Worth Police Department. Check this out.
That ordinance means like music, not talking. If someone is offended by your talking, then we have a problem.
What? If someone is offended by your talking, we have a problem? Since when?
Violations of our rights. If you shut us down,
no. If they are offended by your speech, okay, then I'll write you this ticket, and we'll go from there.
Wait, you're going to take us for offensive speech?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you serious?
Speech. You're going to cite us for offensive
speech. It's called disorderly conduct.
No. Disorderly conduct has to be accompanied by conduct.
Okay. So she's making the case that she's going to cite them for street preaching at this Pride event because that's disorderly conduct, because someone might get offended. I am not an attorney, but I am darn near positive that that is not the standard for disorderly conduct. You being offended because I said something doesn't make me saying something disorderly conduct, because anyone could be offended by anything. That's a ridiculous legal standard. I cannot imagine anywhere in the world a prosecutor, or at least anywhere in the United States, that would be able to charge that case and win it. Anywhere. But I did dig into the penal code because I'm like, okay, well, what is disorderly conduct? Does this officer have a point? And I don't think so. This is the Google AI overview of the section of the Texas Penal Code that covers disorderly conduct. So this is an AI overview. Take it with a grain of salt, but I didn't have time to read through the entire penal code, so you'll have to forgive me. Under Texas Penal Code Section 42.01, disorderly conduct involves intentionally or knowingly disturbing the peace. Actions include using language or making gestures that incite immediate violence, fighting, exposing genitals, creating noxious odors, or making unreasonable noise in public. All right. So that's pretty clearly not just street preaching. I mean, you could say, oh, it's unreasonable noise, but is it unreasonable noise? It's in the middle of a Pride event. There's already so much noise. So just somebody saying, hey, come to Christ, that's not an unreasonable noise. That's just more noise. Creating noxious odors, that would be things like, public defecating or things like that. It seems to me, and again, I'm not an attorney, but if you were to ask me about this, I would say it looks like this pretty much just goes down to you can't go out of your way to start a fight with somebody. That makes sense. That's fine. If he was going out to this Pride event and saying, hey, I'm gonna kick your butt because you're gay, that would be a problem. That would be disorderly conduct. Give him a ticket, cite him, kick him out. That's not what happened. At least it doesn't look like that's what happened. I have a hard time believing that's what this pastor was going out and doing. It seems to me he just wanted to street preach by this Pride event, and some ridiculous woke chubby cop got pissed off about it. There's more to this video. Let's keep it going.
Is the conduct
I'm
that
a
you're
retired
doing.
police officer myself.
For who?
26 years, federal law enforcement.
So it's federal. So this has nothing to do with local.
Wow.
Has nothing to do with local.
Yeah. Well,
Do whatever y'all think that you can do.
It says 80
whatever we think.
decibels.
Wow.
It says 80 decibels.
Since y'all know the law so well, I'm not going to let y'all do
So
whatever
I just want to clarify. If anything is said that's offensive, you're going to write a ticket?
If someone complains that your language or what you're saying is offensive,
Hey, pretty loud.
All right. So he caught her there. She obviously had no idea what she was doing. She just got offended because she's woke, which isn't surprising. She's chubby. And she wanted to put a stop to it. That's clearly what happened, because he said, look, I'm law enforcement. I did 26 years as a federal law enforcement officer. I know how this stuff works. He's like, well, you're a federal law enforcement. This is different. It's not that different. I guarantee you a federal law enforcement officer is aware of what constitutes disorderly conduct under the Texas Penal Code. Assuming he was doing his law enforcement in Texas, which I mean, again, I don't know. But I have a hard time believing that it's just completely different. And then she gets down to it. Well, if somebody says what you're doing is offensive, I'm going to write you a ticket. You just can't offend people. This is the really, this gets to the root of why wokeness is such a problem. Because it's not just, I don't want people to be uncomfortable or unhappy or offended. It escalates inevitably every single time, all the way to, I'm going to trample your rights with what little authority I can get my hands on, or as much authority as I can get my hands on, in order to protect the feelings of other people. And at the end of the day, your feelings don't matter. If some gay person at a pride event is offended by the street preacher, walk away. That's it. The rights of that street preacher to preach are far more important than whether or not a random gay at a random pride event is offended. But not to this law enforcement officer. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane how this officer is out there working with this is her mindset. This is how she operates. This is a problem. This is a real issue. And it gets down to the fact that, listen, this is what's going to happen every single time a woke person gets any power at all. They will use or abuse any power they have in order to pursue the woke agenda. The highest priority to her is not protecting the rights and the safety of the people that she swore an oath to protect their right and safety. The highest priority to her is protecting the feeling of homosexuals. And listen, I'm not saying go out and just intentionally hurt feelings all the time, but if that's your highest priority as a law enforcement officer, that is a crisis. It is. She should be fired. We'll be right back. Alrighty, let's talk about this ICE shooting. Now, I want to start, and just for the record, let it be known, I do not revel in the loss of human life, ever. I think human life has value. That's my belief as a Christian. That people are important. Lives are important. However, I am also a big believer in the action or the consequences of actions. I believe if you take action, you should not expect to be insulated from the natural consequences of those actions. It's not to say that the loss of life isn't a tragedy. It is. However, if you intentionally put yourself in a situation where you could get seriously hurt or killed, that's nobody's fault but your own. And so I'm not going to sit and boo-hoo and pat you on the back and, oh my God, oh, this is so terrible. How could this happen to you? You know how this happened to you. You put yourself in a position where you got hurt or killed. That's your fault. It's nobody else's. This is what happened with this illegal alien. He put himself in a place, in a situation that he should not have been for 35 continuous years. And then when the time finally came for him to deal with the consequences of that, he allegedly, according to what little evidence we do have, made that situation worse for himself and got himself shot. That's nobody's fault but his own. So don't expect an outpouring of pity from me. You're not going to get it. This guy did a 35-year series of stupid things, starting with entering the United States illegally and ending with allegedly trying to hit a cop with his van. And he got shot. That's what happens. This is natural consequences. So, does it suck? Do I wish this situation never happened? Absolutely. Do I wish he hadn't gotten shot? Do I wish he would have just given up and turned himself in and then gotten deported peacefully back to his home country and lived happily ever after? Absolutely, I do. But that didn't happen, and that's his fault. It's not ICE's fault. It's not President Trump's fault. It's his fault. So what is the situation? According to ABC 13 Eyewitness News, Lorenzo Salgado Araujo was shot and killed by ICE agents in Houston. Several investigations are underway after an ICE agent fatally shot a man in Houston's Magnolia Park on Tuesday morning, authorities said. Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, 52, was a Mexican national who allegedly attempted to evade arrest, rammed his car into a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement vehicle, and refused commands to stop, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Now, I mentioned there's not a lot of evidence, and this is where things kind of get complicated. We have a little bit of just video footage around from the police chase that happened when they tried to pull over his van. And then other than that, we pretty much just have the word of the ICE agents and the word of these illegal aliens. Now, if you're on the left, the word of the illegal aliens that were in the van is gospel. And if you're on the right, you tend to trust the ICE agents more. I trust my government and my law enforcement agents more than I trust illegal aliens who are invading my country. I feel like that's pretty common sense. Now, that's not to say I trust the government implicitly, because I don't. Anyone who knows me knows I have no great love for the government. However, I trust my government more than some random invaders. And that's what we've got. We've got their word against the word of ICE and DHS. Now, I mentioned we do have a little bit of video evidence. I will show you, if you're listening, you need to follow me on X and watch the video when it comes out on Monday morning. But here is what little video we have, courtesy of ABC 13. Check this out.
Surveillance video shows him walking to his work van, the same one that just an hour later would draw the attention of ICE agents. You could see the van speeding south on Wayside, an unmarked SUV not far behind, another unmarked SUV behind that one. The white van then turns east on Canal Street, both vehicles still following. This video shows the van continuing down Canal when one of the ICE vehicles turns in front of it. Because of the trees blocking the camera view, it's difficult to make out exactly what's happening. But within seconds, we see the white van turning around and heading west on Canal, back toward Wayside. One of the SUVs that had been pursuing it seen turning around and following. The white van then resurfaces in this clip, here in the spot where Salgado Araujo was killed. What appears to be an ICE agent seen pulling open the front passenger door, then moments later, wrestling one of the van's occupants to the ground. What you can't see, the driver's side, where Salgado Araujo would have been sitting.
Now, the left wants you to believe that everything about this is terrible. This poor guy was just trying to go to work, and he was just accosted by these ICE agents that were in these unmarked cars, and he thought he was being robbed, and that's why he ran, and then they were unidentified, and they were in plain clothes, and la-di-da-di-da. As it turns out, most of that's not really true. Sure, the vehicles that ICE was driving were unmarked. We know why. The reason the vehicles were unmarked is because the moment you start driving around in marked cars, you start seeing what we had in Minneapolis, where these ridiculous radicals start agitating and drawing crowds and trying to block in the vans. And that's what ended up leading to Renee Good getting shot. It's because she was agitating and blocking the cops and la-di-da-di-da, and then she tried to hit an ICE officer with her car, and she got shot. So what's the solution to that? We make it harder for the activists, the agitators, to find the ICE fans, so we unmark them. That makes sense. Now, you'll hear that these officers were in plain clothes, so when they got out, this guy just thought he was being robbed. What was he supposed to do? He thought he was being robbed. Well, they weren't actually really in plain clothes, because they were all wearing clearly identifiable police vests, those bulletproof jackets that say police across them. They've got all their gear on them. They've got their badge on their belt, clearly visible. You've seen it 1,000 times. So they were plain clothes, but were they really? No. So this guy didn't think he was just getting robbed. He could clearly see these were law enforcement officers. Given the fact that this guy's been a professional illegal alien for 35 years, I'm pretty sure he knows what an ICE agent looks like, because you got to be able to spot him and avoid him if you're an illegal alien. But even if all of that were true, even if these were completely unmarked cars with no lights, no sirens, nothing identifying them as law enforcement, and then the ICE officers get out and they weren't wearing vests and badges that clearly identify them as law enforcement, even if it looked completely like he was just getting accosted and robbed by a bunch of people that had slammed into his van and were packing him in and were trying to rob him, even if all of that were true, it's still his own darn fault that he got shot, and here's why. None of this would have happened if he hadn't been here. He wasn't supposed to be here. He had no business being here. He wasn't allowed to be here, and he was here. That was his choice. He decided to enter a place he wasn't allowed to be in, stay there for 35 years. Everything that happens after that is his fault. He made that choice. Nevertheless, the cadre of woke elected officials are still going out and talking about, oh, how terrible this is. Here is our county attorney, Abby Kamen. This has nothing to do with the county attorney's office, but here she is poo-pooing the fact that this happened.
Lorenzo's sons should not have had to be here today.
I agree.
I cannot imagine having to grieve the loss of a parent while having to stand up for the rule of law, the dignity of Americans, of Houstonians.
What does this have to do with the dignity of Americans and Houstonians? This wasn't an American. He wasn't a Houstonian. Sure, he lived here, but he was an illegal alien. He was a Mexican. He didn't belong in this country.
And carrying that burden, that is not a burden that they should bear, but they will not bear that burden alone.
She's right. It's not a burden they should bear. They shouldn't have to be here. They should be in Mexico with their father, who didn't illegally immigrate into the United States. They are going to have to bear that burden of losing their father, and that is tragic. I do feel for his sons, for his family, who did lose a loved one. That is real. That happened. That's sad. But I have to wonder, all of his loved ones that were in the United States, including his anchor baby sons, knew full well that their father shouldn't be here. They knew that he was an illegal alien. Why weren't they saying, Dad, you've broken the law by being here. You should go home. Again, this guy had 35 years in this country. 35 years. He could have done the old start going through the paperwork and process after the fact. That's not good, but at least it's better. He could have done the actual right thing, which is just go back to Mexico and start going through the paperwork to immigrate legally. He could have done either of those things. But for 35 years, he sat in a country he had no business being in. Everyone around him knew he was an illegal alien. Nobody was shocked to learn that, oh my God, my dad's not a citizen. My dad doesn't have a green card. All of them knew that. He shouldn't have been here. And he was. That's on him. That's not on ICE. That's not on President Trump. That's on him. There's this idea now on the left that nothing bad or inconvenient should ever happen to these illegal aliens. No, something bad should happen to them. They should have a difficult time getting deported so that they know that it's not a good idea to come here illegally. Go home. Go home the easy way. You're not supposed to be here and you know it. Alrighty, continuing on talking about Lorenzo Salgado. I want to talk about the recent line that we've been hearing from the left about this guy. And that is that, he wasn't even the target. He wasn't even the target of this operation that ICE was carrying out when he was stopped and allegedly tried to hit an ICE agent with his car and got shot for his trouble. And the Democrats have really latched onto this. Here's the Texas Democrat Party going out on Twitter and trying to make this their whole thing. ICE killed Lorenzo Salgado Araujo. Now DHS admits he wasn't even who they were looking for. Oh, how terrible. Here it is. Now DHS admits he wasn't even who they're looking for. This has been the line from the Democrats. I want you to just think about that for a second. ICE was looking for somebody else, an illegal alien that was in Lorenzo Salgado's employ. And they stopped a van they thought he was going to be in. And turns out every single person in that van was an illegal alien. Every single one. They were looking for one guy. They pulled over one van, and there were at least 4 people in that van that were all illegal aliens. There's, I believe, 2 or 3 people in ICE custody right now who were illegal aliens. Presumably, one of them was the one they were looking for. And then there was Lorenzo Salgado driving the van, and he was an illegal alien. So does that really make the case that the Democrats are trying to? I mean, literally everyone in the van was an illegal alien. Presumably going to work, which is another issue entirely. It seems like the situation here is Lorenzo Salgado, who was himself an illegal alien, had started a business and was hiring other illegal aliens. And it looks like he was making good money doing that. I want you to see this picture. This is the picture that has floated around a lot. Here's Lorenzo Salgado in his house, and it looks like a nice house. It looks like a decent, newish construction home, at least newly remodeled. This is a home that should have belonged to an American citizen. Why? Because it's in America. He got this home making money that should have been made by Americans. Why? Because it was in America. He presumably had a very successful construction business, which raises the question, how is he doing that without even being a citizen? How many other business laws or tax laws did he violate in order to run this presumably successful company as an illegal alien, taking jobs, taking opportunities from Americans? I don't think this makes the case that the left thinks it makes, but they've been taking this line and they've been running with it. Here's Roland Gutierrez. He's a Texas state senator. He's made this his entire personality. Check this out.
Know that Lorenzo Salgado Araujo was murdered. We know that he was wrongly murdered. We know now from ICE that they were looking for someone else. We also know that an agency tipped them off. I've asked today of DPS to admit or deny that they were that agency. I'm asking my colleagues in Houston to find out if their police departments were that agency, because no agency should be working with a rogue government agency who doesn't wear body cams and who wears masks to arrest undocumented persons. What has happened across this nation with ICE is wrong. Every city should look at their 287G, those are the agreements that they have to cooperate with ICE, and re-examine them and reevaluate them for illegality. Because in no circumstances should your police be asked to work with rogue cops that are untrained and unscrupulous and don't give a shit about the rest of us. Insofar as Greg Abbott is concerned, I've asked his office to send me the documents that show that he's cooperating with ICE in a real way. I've asked DPS to send me those documents. They've sent me nothing but saying they don't target Latinos. We know that isn't true. We know Greg Abbott doesn't give a shit about Mexicans.
That last line there is insane. I mean, literally all of this is insane, but that last line especially. We know Greg Abbott doesn't give I'll say crap about Mexicans. Yeah, because Greg Abbott isn't a Mexican official. Greg Abbott shouldn't give a crap about Mexicans. He should give a crap about Texans, because that's his job. This is so ridiculous. And then he goes on and on and on about how, ICE is a rogue agency and they're just going in and they're terrorizing all these Mexicans. Well, ICE wouldn't be terrorizing Mexicans if the Mexicans were in Mexico. ICE is terrorizing the Mexicans because the Mexicans illegally invaded the United States of America. If you're worried about ICE, go back to your country where there is no ICE. Problem solved. But no, we're supposed to have all this pity for the illegal aliens. No, go home. You're not supposed to be here, and you know that. That's why you're living in fear of ICE. It's because you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. You hear this line all the time from the Democrats and from the left. ICE or immigrants shouldn't have to live in fear. Legal immigrants shouldn't have to live in fear. Illegal immigrants absolutely should live in fear. If you're an illegal alien, you should be scared of the fact that at any given moment, an ICE agent could kick in your door, grab you, stuff you in a van, and send you back to your home country. You should be scared of that. And if you don't want to be scared of that, go back to your home country on your own. On your own. DHS will actually pay for it. All you have to do is say, yeah, I messed up, my bad. And they will give you a ticket home for free. You should do that. And until you do, you should live in fear of ICE. You absolutely should. Now, what really sticks out here is, again, the fact that Roland Gutierrez says Greg Abbott doesn't give a crap about Mexicans. So you're admitting that these people aren't American. These people aren't even trying to become American. They're just Mexicans that want to live here and suck off of our system because our system is better than theirs. The answer is no. If you want to have a good system you can suck off of, go home and build that system in Mexico. Because we built that over 250 years from literally nothing in the United States of America. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of effort. It's the birthright of Americans. Not random Mexicans who just swam across the river and feel like they're entitled because, oh, I'm here. The answer is no. Go home to your own country, build yourself your own nice system. The thing that's really telling about, really all of this is who is going out to bat for these Mexicans. Because Greg Abbott properly is not going out to bat for these Mexicans, but you know who is? The president of Mexico. Mexico vows U.S. will pay after ICE fatally shoots illegal immigrant who allegedly attempted to ram agents with her car. Mexico's president is pressing a legal response after ICE agents fatally shot a Mexican national in Houston, while U.S. officials say the man tried to ram an officer with his vehicle. So just so we're all clear as to what's going on here, a Mexican national violated the sovereignty of the United States of America and invaded this country. That's what he did when he illegally immigrated. Stayed here for 35 years, taking jobs, opportunity, work from Americans. And then, when the consequences of his actions finally catch up to him, a foreign government, a foreign leader steps up to bat for him and threatens a lawsuit. This is from Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. Our goal is to go beyond diplomatic notes and the representations we have made to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. We cannot tolerate the mistreatment of our fellow citizens, our brothers and sisters in the United States of America. So we're proposing further measures, she said in Spanish. I don't know what those further measures are, but I hope she throws the kitchen sink at us. I hope she sues us and then we lose so that we can then just say, do something about it. This is the United States of America. More specifically, this is the state of Texas. We didn't give in to corrupt Mexican influence in 1836. We didn't just lean over and take it in the 1840s again when the Mexican government got a little feisty. And we're not going to take it now. You can send all the illegal invaders you want into the United States of America. File all the lawsuits you want. But at the end of the day, we are a sovereign nation. We are superior to the nation of Mexico. Come and do your worst, honestly. Thank you very much for listening to the Next Gen Report. I am Ethan Buchanan. We will be back Tuesday evening on X for the live stream at _Ethan Buchanan, Buchanan.